It's dated the 5th of February. Yes, I know the House and yes, I know the Senate have made some proposed changes, but until the president signs those into law, we can only discuss what's mandated by Congress. All right, next slide, please. And I apologize in advance. Zoom, for some reason, SBA employees, we get booted off. That's why Brigitte, I hope I don't mispronounce your name. Brigitte, she's advancing the slides. All right, so if and when you get the invitation from the SBA to apply for this or to filling out the information for the Targeted EIDL Advance, these are the items you're going to need. And you'll get this in the email, but you'll need the 2019 federal tax returns, your EIN and your SSN. And if you remember, if you did screenshot your original EIDL application, please go back to that. So many times people, they either put their EIN or their SSN and then they flip-flop it, and it creates a log jam. You need to provide the gross receipts for the 2019, 20, and whatever's completed in 21, and then confirm the information in the original application is accurate. You may have gotten married, or you may have had a name change or something, an address change, whatever. If there was an error in your EIN or an error in your social security number, that's the time to get this corrected. And then finally, the 4506T is the Treasury form that you sign, and that allows the SBA's Office of Disaster Assistance folks, the underwriters of this, to obtain your tax transcripts to verify that your business, did sustain a 30% reduction. Again, there's that website, sba.gov/coronavirus relief. Next slide, please. The application process, again, you will receive an email from the folks administering this. Make sure your bank account information is correct. There's a lot of times where our lending relations specialist and the director and myself at the New Jersey district office, we're working with applicants and the lenders for programs. If it's an EIDL program, they might have had an incorrect routing number or an account number, or they might have used a personal account number, which you should use a business account. So there's not one chance of getting this wrong. So make sure the information's correct. Unlike the economic injury disaster loans, where if you applied and there's no calculation on determine how much you're eligible for that loan, but if there was an issue, you could get reconsideration. Not so the case in this new Targeted EIDL Advance. Once you hit submit on that application, that's it. There's no time to fix any errors, and there's no reconsideration. Once you hit submit, the SBA's Office of Disaster Assistance will review it, and we're being told in about 21 days, money will be distributed into whatever account via whatever routing number you provided. You will not receive a letter or email, text, or anything saying your money's in your account, but it will be there, kind of like in the first round. So if you did get an invitation, your questions for this can be directed to Targeted Advance at sba.gov. And hopefully someone there will respond. If you have questions, I'm going to refer you to that. I don't have, or anyone in our district office, they don't have access to the portal for the economic injury disaster loan or the advance or the Targeted EIDL Advance. All right, next slide. I believe that's it for the Targeted EIDL Advance. Vicki Clark she said the chamber members were mostly interested in that, but real quick, I want to cover a few slides. New program, it's not really out. There's not a lot of information on this other than what we've got posted at that sba.gov/coronavirus relief website. The applications are not yet open. We do expect that to open up sometime in the first week of April. I do know that the criteria to be eligible for this is pretty complicated. Just because you're a live operator or you own a museum or a zoo, or you think you meet the criteria, please go to the website, open up the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. There's all the FAQs, there's all the requirements. And as you know, some of these requirements change. It seems like every time members of Congress meet, there's some sort of change. So we're flexible. The downside is that once something changes, we don't have the time required to implement the very next day, hence the wait in like the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. But I do know that you have to have been in operation by February 29th of last year. And there might be a change on this PPP loan. If you previously, currently right now, they said if you have applied for or received a PPP loan on or after December 27th, you're not eligible. That might be changing if the president signs whatever the congressmen and senators are discussing on the news. Next slide, please. This is a cross program eligibility on all the economic aid programs that the SBA has got currently. The Paycheck Protection Program, Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, and the Economic Injury Disaster Loans. You may be eligible for one or more. It all depends on your situation. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this. And I don't want to get into a lot of detail. There will be changes coming. Currently, the Paycheck Protection Program, until it's signed into law by the president, it will expire applications on the 31st of this month, which means there's less than 2 weeks. That doesn't mean you can submit an application on the morning of the 31st and expect it to be processed by your lender and then sent to the SBA. However, if this changes and that's the runway for this is extended, then you should meet. You should make the deadline. I will say there's about $129 billion left in the Paycheck Protection Program. So the runway for this is quite long as far as money is concerned. And we're seeing the average loan size is about $60,000. There is a new change that if you're a sole proprietor, you can use your gross revenue instead of your net. So that gives you a little bit more cushion. But if you're, you understand that each of the PPP, it's maxed out at $100,000. It pretty much limits you to $20,833 if you are a sole proprietor. Next slide, please. I do want to talk about the SBA-backed loan debt relief. If you have a SBA-backed loan product, an existing 7A or 504 or microloan, basically the CARES Act provided that the SBA could take care of 6 months of your payments for you. You don't have to apply for this. This is automatic. If you have questions, we're going to refer you to your lender. They're aware of it. And at the sba.gov/coronavirus relief, there's more information there. Next slide, please. I believe we're getting to the end of it. These are the loan programs and the grant programs that the SBA has. I want to talk about something that is not on this, that we have not had time to really get the programmatic details or the application process or who can apply and to whom. But next slide. If you want to reach me, you can reach our office, New Jersey district office at sba.gov. You can send Vicki an email or a text. She'll get it to me. And I believe that concludes the presentation on the EIDL Advance. I do want to share something on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. This is new also, and I can only talk about a few things. It provides, and it's not million, it's $28.6 billion for the new Restaurant Revitalization Fund. It's for grants. It's not a loan, it is a grant. And it's going to be for the hardest hit industry, maximum $5 million grant per location with an aggregate maximum of up to $10 million. Per the Act, the Restaurant Revitalization Grant will provide economic relief to restaurants, food stands, food trucks, food carts, caterers, saloons, inns, taverns, bars, lounges, brew pubs, tasting rooms, tap rooms, licensed facilities or premises of a beverage alcohol producer where the public may taste, buy, or sample products, or any other similar establishment where people assemble for the primary purpose of being served food or drink. Places that we all like to go to. You might own one of these. Another part of this criteria, any establishment with 20 or fewer locations may be eligible. And the last bullet point I have is ineligible entities include state or local government operated entities and publicly traded companies, as well as those entities that have a pending Shuttered Venue Operators Grant application or have received the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. No one's received that yet. We haven't even opened up the application window. That's all I've got on the the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Okay, Vicki, that's it for the presentation. I know there's probably some questions, and if I have the answers, I will be happy to answer it. If I don't have them, I'll tell you I don't know.
So thank you, John. We really appreciate you sharing the information that you have. We know all this is really a work in progress, and appreciate the information that you have. And we do have a couple questions. I'm going to start with what's in the chat. And okay. I will use, take questions with the raised hand feature if people would like to ask the question on their own. But the first question is asking you to confirm that an organization cannot receive a Shuttered Venue Operations Grant and a PPP second draw as of right now.
The answer is no. So it depends, Vicki. It depends. If this person received the PPP after December 27th, then no, they cannot. But if they received it before the 27th, then yes, they can. That's current. Will this change? That remains to be seen. Unless Congress changes the laws, that's how that program's set up.
So, Eli, is that clear? You're good? Okay. All right. The second question, also from the chat, is we received an EIDL loan, but we never received our grant. So I suppose they're talking about the advance in the beginning.
Right.
Does this have to be paid back, or is there a way to have this converted to a grant instead of a loan?
Unfortunately not. If they got an economic injury disaster loan is a 30-year, 3.75% fixed, 2.75% for a eligible nonprofit. That is a loan product. There was a 10-year deferment. So I have some notes on that. Let me get these notes. We just moved the deferment. So for the EIDLs, if you received an EIDL loan, economic injury disaster loan, it originally had a 12-month deferment until your first note was due. So if you got this economic injury disaster loan in the year 2020, that has been extended out to 24 months, 2 years until your first note is due. If you got an economic injury disaster loan in 21, that landing has been extended out to 18 months instead of 12 months. So that is some sort of economic relief that the government is trying to provide. But it is in fact a loan. It is not a grant. Unlike the Paycheck Protection Program, it is a loan, but if you utilize 60% on eligible payroll expenses, it becomes a grant. You have to apply for the loan forgiveness. On the loan forgiveness, not every lending institution is participating in this at this time. They're waiting to see if Congress changes. A lot of the big banks have elected not to accept forgiveness loans. Now, what does that mean if you did get a PPP? Your covered period is completed. You did use 60% on eligible payroll expenses, Therefore, you think you're fully forgiven. Until it's approved by the SBA, you still have to make your note payments on that. It's still a loan. There are many loans that have been forgiven. 99.1% of the loans that have been submitted have been completely forgiven. But then again, that's from lenders who are accepting these forgiveness loan applications. Not all are. We're aware of it. Our Office of Capital Access is trying to figure out how to make the banks, the lenders, all the participants in the PPP comply with providing the applicants with loan forgiveness applications, to be resolved soon. I know that's top in the Office of Capital Access's list, trying to get this resolved. We don't want to have the business owners incur any more frustration or, anxiety with the federal government. They've had enough.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is the targeted EIDL referring to the phase 3 grant?
I don't know what a phase 3 grant is, but the targeted EIDL it's been implemented to only provide economic assistance to those who applied for the grant, but due to lack of funding, weren't eligible, or they did not get that grant. So I don't know what phase 3 is, but I'm going to say no.
Thank you. Next question. If it has been more than 21 days since I submitted my 4506-T in the second email for the targeted advance, should I contact the SBA, or are there delays with the program?
So we don't have that information on the delays. I can tell you that I'm trying to get to that. The questions, whoever asked that question, please send an email to the following: targetedadvance@sba.gov. I will try to put that in the chat. I'll write that down, put it in the chat. That is your, that's who's getting these questions. There's not a phone number we can access, or we're given this targeted advance. I'm going to put it in the chat, so whoever asks that, you'll have it. So if it's been more than 21 days, first thing, go to your account. Please look in your account. Look for a deposit from the Department of Treasury. There's, in addition to the full 10,000, there was $5 billion that was designated for the quote hardest hit, greater than 50% loss with less than 10 employees. So if that's you, in addition to the 10,000, you may be getting $5,000 more. Again, you don't apply for it. It is something that will automatically happen.
John, what was that email again? Brigida can add it to the chat if you want to tell her.
I'm putting it in right now.
Oh, okay.
Make sure I spell it right. I highly encourage everyone to double check before you submit anything to the SBA or your lending institution. Fat fingers today. There it is, to everyone. So questions, if you replied more than 21 days ago, that's the information we got. It takes about 3 weeks. Could it be a couple days longer? Probably. But if it were me, I would send an email to targetedadvance@sba.gov. I would do that today.
Thank you. The next question is, where do restaurants go to register for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund?
No clue. We don't have that information yet. It will be a grant. And we don't know. It's kind of like, I would say, like the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. We knew about this in February, that this came out, and the rollout is sometime in April. Please go to www.sba.gov/coronavirus relief. If you are in the entertainment theater venue, look at the eligibility. I do know that you have to have a DUNS number. You've got to register at sam.gov, And like the government, it takes about 2 weeks to get that registration. And if it's opening it up and it's $15 billion on the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not sure how long that money's going to be around. But when you consider the sheer size of Broadway, of the movie houses in Hollywood, and not to mention all across the country, Carnegie Hall, check the eligibility. Please go to the website, make sure that you're eligible. And if not, take a look at the other options we have. If you've not applied for the second draw of the Paycheck Protection Program, there's eligibility criteria, i.e. you have to have less than 300 employees. You've got to show 25% reduction in your receipts from 2020 over 2019. So not everybody will be eligible for that second draw. Not everyone's going to be eligible for this targeted EIDL either. I wish they were, but I'm not in charge. I can tell you I think I said 30 million. It's $30 billion in the targeted EIDL. And that's going to be doled out 20 million for those who applied, didn't get funding, and an additional 10 billion for those that can show 50% reduction in the hardest hit areas. They'll get an additional 5,000. So some people might get $15,000, and that is a grant. You don't have to pay that back. That is tax. It's not taxable. It is a grant.
So we do have quite a few more questions in the chat, so we'll try to work through as many of these as we can. I would just, from my own personal experience, just advise everyone as soon as these portals go live, just hop on it as quickly as possible because, the programs are expected to be oversubscribed, and just keep working it. Also, trying during non-peak hours because the money probably will go fast, as John is saying. The next question is, would organizations that operate a bar kitchen such as the Elks, the VFW, et cetera, be eligible for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund?
That remains to be seen. I'm not really sure who's eligible. It'd be nice if some of the nonprofits were included in this. I can't give you any the program details, who's eligible, who's not. At this time, I cannot.
Okay.
But the website we have, the coronavirus, the sba.gov/coronavirus, that's the landing page where all of these programs, you can find information, the latest information that we have.
Is there a contact other than Targeted Advance at SBA.gov? I received the invite to the Targeted EIDL application 6 weeks ago, filled it out, but have not received any requests to send the tax transcripts or an invite to the portal. Unfortunately, I'm not receiving any answer to my inquiries from Targeted Advance at SBA.gov.
I wish I had another, I don't. I don't know what to tell you. That's the information we have. The site is Targeted Advance at SBA.gov. Vicki, if you could get ICKE's, or if ICKE, if you could send me your email privately, I'll work with you offline on this.
Okay. And then we have, let's see, from Brian, I received the invitation for the Targeted EIDL and submitted on 2/10. I never received the request for the 4506-T. The advance does not show in my portal as submitted. Emails have been responded with auto responses. Customer service say they cannot help to email. Is there a phone number to speak to someone about my Targeted Advance application?
We don't have one. What we're told is just that. So Brian Wolverton, send me your email too. If you can privately do that in chat or send it to Vicki. We do have one person in the Office of Disaster Assistance that I'll ask him if he knows what's going on with these two. But the information we received is after you hit submit, you may have already given permission you might have signed in your original, the 4506-T. Some did and some didn't. If you did, you might not have that request and that's for Brian Wolverton. I'm not sure if the portal is going to show the advance. I know that the first round, there was nothing. You just checked a box, said you want it, and those that got it, they just, a couple weeks later found that money was deposited into their account. So you two, Icky and Brian Wolverton, if you can send me and privately in this chat, or send it to Vicky, she'll get it to me. I need your email and as much information as you can provide me. I don't need your social, but I just need like your application number, and I'll forward it to our point of contact. See if there's a workaround.
Okay. Next question. Can you apply for the PPP or if you are in bankruptcy?
Yeah. There's things that changed. Like I know the PPP, some of the latest changes, they're allowing, if you have a felony, a non-fraud felony, you can apply. If you're a tax-paying non-resident, you can apply. So yes, bankruptcy really should not affect you. I've known people that applied with tax liens and they got the PPP. They might have had to provide more information, and the lenders, the whole intent for the PPP is that it's going to be forgiven, that you follow the rules and you use 60% of the disbursement you get and pay your eligible payroll expenses. If you do not do that, it becomes a 5-year 1% loan, a federal loan. So yes, you can apply.
Next question. I received a grant of $5,000. If I understand you correctly, SBA will send an email so I can receive the other $5,000. Is that correct?
So the way this is working is that you've got to show 30% loss. You've got to be in an area, and we don't have, no one in our office has a map to say what exactly are these low income areas. So Liz Fox, if you receive an email to participate, then yes, you're going to get more. If you are in fact in an area where there's 50% loss and you have less than 10 employees, you will, what I understand, you got 5, they'll plus you up to the 10. So that'll be 5,000. And if you meet the criteria for the hardest hit, more than 50% loss, less than 10 employees, that'll be an additional 5,000. So you might see 10,000. But if you don't get an email from the SBA's Office of Disaster Assistance, then you probably won't be eligible.
Okay. Are there restrictions on how the restaurant grant money can be spent?
I don't know. I would assume that they're going to be codified in whatever interim final rule comes out. I do know that the Office of Disaster Assistance, there's folks working on this. I do know that in addition to the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, it has taken several weeks just to get the program, get it vetted through legal counsel. It is a true grant. I understand that once information's out there, you can't pick up a phone and call me and say, how do I apply? It's got to be, you've got to do the legwork. Here's the information on the website. It's a grant. Anyone's eligible. When the funding runs out, unless Congress puts more money in, that's it for that grant.
My application has been saying in progress. What does that mean?
Okay, what application? If it's a Paycheck Protection Program, that means a couple things. If it's idle in progress, who knows what the folks, and how long has it been? So if it's in progress, if it's been weeks, if it's months, then there's something really significant wrong. And if that's the case, although we can't look into the economic injury disaster portal that the Office of Disaster Assistance runs, we do in our office. We have one contact that is employed by the Office of Disaster Assistance. And what I do is I just get your information and I send this person an email. He looks up in the portal what the hang up is and gets back to you. So if that is you can send me your email. Brian Wolverton, I'm jumping in. I got your email. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to forward that information to our guy. His name is Sherrod Schuler. Most likely he will be responding to you with information.
John, I believe in reference to the question about the applications in progress, they're saying it's the idle loan, and it's been 30 days.
Okay, so idle takes about 6 weeks. Unless you get questions from the underwriters, it's taken about 6 weeks for the economic injury loans to be fully approved and dispersed.
So the next question is, a friend mistakenly put an incorrect email address and contacted the SBA. They corrected the email address, but have been unable to resend it. Any updates on when it can be resent?
What application are we talking about? I mean, there's two different things. So the PPP
Michelle
is
can update that question.
So the Paycheck Protection Program, the banks are the ones that will be the ones making corrections. If there's something economic injury disaster related, like the idle loans, you have the customer service, you can call their number. I don't think they're going to help anyone with a targeted EIDL advance, but if you have an EIDL related question, they can be reached at 800-659-2955. I'll put that in chat in just a second. I'm getting Brian's information. I want to forward this up. Okay.
Just to follow up on Michelle's question, she was referring to a EIDL targeted advance with the incorrect email that was able to be corrected, but there's been she's been unable to resend it.
Yeah, so the targeted advance, once you hit submit, it's pretty much, it's like a bullet. It's fired. You can't get it back. I would ask her to email them and say, whoops, I hit send, got an information I need to change. And again, that would be that email. Let me go back to it. targetedadvance@sba.gov.
So John, I think that not really seeing any new questions in the chat. I don't have any raised hands. So I think that, we've really gotten down into the weeds with some of these questions, and you've been very, very thorough in your questions and individualized assistance. I think that we have, and I see you've got the SBA customer service number. Hopefully they'll be able to help, and these other email addresses. We look forward to really getting the details on these new programs that they're rolling out, and the forgiveness information on the new round of PPP funding. Hopefully PPP will be extended a little bit longer for these new groups that have been able to apply in this most recent round. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for your time this morning. And Cheryl, I know you're on. You've been so great. You've hosted so many of our other webinars on SBA funding programs, and we look forward to having you back on with us. And, hi, Cheryl. Thanks for turning your camera on. And a lot of the great information came out by the really thoughtful questions that were answered too. So thanks everybody who tuned in with us today. So I don't know, John, any final questions or that you want, or not questions, any final thoughts you wanted to share with us?
Yes, everybody sign up for your COVID vaccine. Look at local CVS.com. Check out Walgreens. If you can get it, please get it. There's three types out there. Please, do your own homework, get the shot. The SBA is doing what we can. We're limited in the amount of help. Once you work with your lender for PPP, our folks are getting beat up around the neck and shoulders frequently. I know they look forward to every weekend to take a breather and get back into the ring on Monday. But we're in the same boat with the EIDL loans, the EIDL advance, and the PPP. I hate to say we're the middle people, but we really are the middle people. But we're doing what we can to help. And if we can help one person, that's great. If we can help 10, that's even better. So please take the time to make sure your information that you submit is correct. And we're here to help. You know how to reach us. Google us. Don't forget our resource partners, the small business development centers, the SCORE chapter mentors, the women's business centers in New Jersey. They're here to help. So Brian, Wolverton, and Icky, I've got your information. Thank you. I will forward that. Hopefully you'll be hearing from our inside guy. There was another text that says, how close to the 30% loss do you have to be? Listen, all these programs, if it says 25% loss, 30% loss, 50%, you got to be at that or better. You can't be below it. And there's one more. I don't want to log out yet. Can you point me to where you reference an entity cannot? Yes, Elias, please go to sba.gov/coronavirus relief. And a lot of these things might be changing, folks. The things that we have posted, that's congressionally mandated, that's in law. And until the president changes, and if you watch the news, you know, the Senate approved, the House voted yesterday to make some changes, and I'm pretty sure the president's going to sign it. But until he does so, we've got to go with the information that is law. Vicki, I know you've got a lot of stuff to do. Good luck this afternoon, and you guys know how to reach me. Here, you know, members of our staff are here to support you. So good luck, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Happy spring tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.